Bart Ehrman says that the author of Luke can't seem to get the story straight of the Ascension. Dr. Ehrman writes on his blog, in Luke 24, Jesus rises from the dead, and on that day he meets the disciples, and then again that day, he ascends to heaven from the town of Bethany. But when you read Acts 1 written by the same author, you find that Jesus did not ascend on that day or that place. Jesus instead spends 40 days with his disciples, proving to them that he had been raised from the dead, and only then, 40 days after his resurrection, does he ascend. And here he ascends not from Bethany, but Jerusalem. Luke tells the same story twice in two radically different ways. Historical accuracy does not appear to be his major concern. But there's some serious problems here. Luke doesn't say Jesus' ascension took place on the same day as his resurrection. What Luke is doing is telescoping the events, which is a standard rhetorical method at the time. Telescoping is simply taking a longer storyline and putting it into brief form without changing the facts. Other ancient historians have used this technique, including Sallust, Lucian, Cicero, and Quintilian. Furthermore, at the end of Luke, there is some obvious rush happening and a lack of specifics about time. For starters, in Luke 24:29, it states that the men on the road to Emmaus pressed Jesus to stay with them for dinner because it was already evening and the day was far spent. We don't know exactly what that means, but it can hardly mean 3 p.m. Jesus then goes inside with them, and they take the time to make and eat dinner. That would certainly take some extra time. They then recognize Jesus as he breaks the bread and disappears. They immediately go back to Jerusalem, a distance of 60 stadia, which is about 6 to 7 miles. This walk would take more than an hour, if not 2. They then talk with the disciples for a while and tell their story in Luke 24:35. Then Jesus appears and reveals himself, and they give him some food. Only after all this does Jesus begin to talk to them about the scriptures, preaching to them a sermon about how his death was predicted in the prophets. How long did that take? Well, probably not just 10 minutes. Jesus then leads them out to Bethany, a mile or 2 walk. If someone tries to put all of this into the same evening, it would probably already be dark by that time, making it extremely difficult for them to witness the ascension into heaven. During that time of year, darkness falls around 7 p.m., so just going by Luke 24 alone, it doesn't at all look like this happened in one day. Either Luke was running out of scroll or in a hurry at this point, or maybe he just doesn't have full knowledge yet of exactly how long Jesus was on earth after the resurrection. Luke simply keeps it non-specific and then later clarifies in Acts chapter 1. But Bart isn't done. Remember that in the above quote, he said that Luke gets confused about the location of the ascension. Let's take a look at the text for ourselves rather than taking his word for it. Here's what Luke 24:50-51 reads. It says, "And he led them out as far as Bethany, and lifting up his hands, he blessed them. While he blessed them, he parted from them and was carried up into heaven." And here's Acts 1:12. "Then they returned to Jerusalem from the mount called Olivet, which is near Jerusalem, a Sabbath day's journey away." Let's take a look at a map here and see. Bethany is on the southeastern slopes of the Mount of Olives. We know Bethany was one of Jesus' favorite places as it was the home of Mary and Martha. The book of Acts tells us that they returned from the Mount of Olives. Luke tells us that the ascension happened in Bethany. Acts 1 doesn't say that Jesus ascended from Jerusalem. It says they returned to Jerusalem. So where exactly is the contradiction here? Ehrman says that the author of Acts isn't concerned with historical accuracy, but nothing can be farther from the truth. Luke is an amazing historian. To learn why that's the case, be sure to watch this video. In the meantime, when Bart Ehrman says that there's a contradiction, always remember, read the text for yourselves and do your homework. Thanks for watching.